What up, gang? Welcome to Effing Genius. I'm Eric Harrison, and we're just barely getting started on this Friday the 13th franchise review. We got such a long ways to go. We better get into this. Coming up next, Friday the 13th Part 2 from 1981.
The body count continues. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. The day you count on for terror is not over. Friday the 13th, Part 2, rated R.
Now showing. Check your newspapers for theaters and showtimes.
Friday the 13th Part 2, released in 1981 and directed by Steve Miner, actually went into production in August of 1980, a mere few months after the release of the original Friday the 13th, based on its popularity. The studio system realized they had a hit on their hands. They wanted to take advantage of that, and so the original idea for the sequels of Friday the 13th was it was going to be kind of like an anthology series of movies. It was going to be a different horror idea with each movie, all under the title Friday the 13th. Think along the lines of Tales from the Crypt or Tales from the Dark Side. People in the studio system, they changed their minds. They decided they wanted to play it more safe. The original was a hit. Let's just make that again. Not fool around with the formula that worked in the first place. So they were like, look, we want a slasher, we want it set in the woods around a camp. Let's just make the same movie. And that's essentially what they did, but you won't hear any complaints from me because I think they did a pretty damn good job with Friday 2. So yeah, like I said, it went from it was going to be a different kind of anthology movie with each sequel under the name Friday the 13th to being just about another slasher, and they had to figure out, okay, we killed off our villain from part 1, Mrs. Voorhees, so what do? Someone came up with the bright idea of bringing Jason back. This is where I start to have an issue with this movie, because I really love everything about it except this one thing. Look, you wanted to bring Jason back, that's fine. I really have no problem with that. Sean Cunningham and Victor Miller and some of the other people involved in the original, they had a problem with it. Completely understandable. It kind of fucks up their whole movie, the original. But what bothers me is that there's, a lot of Friday fans that get really uptight about Friday Part 6. They say, I don't like it from there on out because that's when Jason became a zombie. Me, I choose to believe Jason has always been a zombie. In part 2, they say he never actually drowned. I guess he was hiding out around Crystal Lake for 21 fucking years or more, just hanging out, and then he, wound up seeing his mom get killed on the shore of Crystal Lake.
I mean, I doubt Jason would have even known the meaning of death, or at least until that horrible night. He must have seen the whole thing happen. He must have seen his mother get killed, and all just because she loved him. I mean, isn't that what her revenge was all about? Her sense of loss? Her rage at what she thought happened?
And then he wants to seek revenge. This just does not jive with me. Like I said, I have no problem with Jason coming back, but in my mind, he has always been a zombie. He fucking died in the original as far as I'm concerned. Now, I know a lot of people are like, it's right in the movie, he didn't die. Look, it's my personal choice, okay? I don't like that they just threw that out because then that means the purpose of the original, the purpose of what Mrs. Voorhees was doing, and everything that this entire series is based on ultimately never happened. It's based on a lie. That does not sit well with me. Mrs. Voorhees killed all those people for fucking nothing. Seriously, for fucking nothing. And this whole series is based on something that never actually happened. That doesn't jive with me. As far as I'm concerned, he died, but he came back. He's always been a zombie. It's always been supernatural from 2 on up. That's just my personal preference. Don't hate me. Don't hate me for it. Alright, so let's jump into the plot of Friday the 13th Part 2. In the beginning, we're shown 2 months after the events of the original Friday the 13th. Alice, according to the research I've done, has gone back to the general area of Crystal Lake in order to face her fears. While there, Jason somehow finds her ass and kills her for some reason. I don't know. This is one of the things where a lot of people in the series, they don't understand. It's kind of confusing. They don't really clarify some of the details, and so people can't quite agree on what happened. Where is she at? How the hell did Jason find her? I believe that she's in the area. She went there to face her fears, and that's why, you know, her mom's calling from California and probably telling her, you need to come back home, and she's like, no, I need to work this out over here. Some people are like, Jason somehow rode a bus or a plane and found her. I don't think he had to go through that much trouble, but the idea that he fucking tracked her down is kind of weird. But anyway, that's how her movie starts. It's actually a pretty good opening. Aside from the confusingness of it, you got more of the long shots in there that I really enjoyed from the original. I love like an extended opening before we actually get the title. That's awesome. We get our first kill, you know, in the first 12 minutes of the movie. Unfortunately, Alice, who went through all she went through to survive in the original, just winds up getting a ice pick through the head. Oh well, shit happens. So anyway, then we skip ahead 5 years later, 5 years after Alice's death, after the events of Friday the 13th Part 1, and there is like a counselor training center opening up in the general area of where Camp Crystal Lake used to be, in order to train some kids, you know, how to be camp counselors, I suppose. What they should have trained them was how to not die, because that's what fucking happens at Camp Crystal Lake. All the characters they're totally fine. I can relate to all these people. They all seem pretty cool. Some of them are real lucky, I gotta say. Some of these motherfuckers are the luckiest people in Friday the 13th history, because a good number of these counselors, they take off to a casino/bar, out to have some drinks for the night, and they fucking live. They don't get killed. Those are some lucky ass mofos, because that does not happen very often in this movie, this series. If somebody is introduced, you're you're gone. If you're in the movie anywhere, Jason's gonna get you. These guys are real lucky, unless he went back there the next year. I don't know. What am I talking about? I like the fact that they don't show the killer a lot. You know, sometimes they'll just show his boots, just to show his legs walking through the forest. They do a lot of the hand shot. That's a real famous Friday the 13th thing, where you just see a hand moving some bushes out of the way or something. I like that. I don't want to see like just Jason out in the open throughout the whole movie. It's cool showing him at the end and he's got the bag head, but they don't, you know, overdo it throughout the first hour of the movie. Jason's wearing a flour sack or a potato sack over his head with one eye cut out. That's fine. I have no issues with that. It is kind of creepy. You know, he's covering what... He knows he's a monster, I guess. He understands that much about himself, so he's keeping it covered for some reason. Crazy Ralph shows up in this movie to say you're doomed one more time before getting... But I thought it was funny. It's so funny I had to make this meme where it's like Crazy Ralph keeps talking about how Camp Crystal Lake is doomed. It's got a death curse, and then he just keeps going back until he gets killed. Like, what the fuck, dude? How smart are you? And tell me this. Is he not wearing the same fucking clothes that he was wearing in the original? Isn't this 5 years later? Motherfucker's still wearing the same clothes? Holy shit, Crazy Ralph. You are crazy. You a crazy mofo. Some of the other confusing things before we wrap this up is like the jump through the window at the end is very infamous at this point. Was that a dream? Was that real? Again, we're not given any real clues. We're not given an explanation. Did that actually happen? And what the fuck happened to Paul? To this day, nobody knows what happened to Paul.
Paul? Where's Paul?
Was he killed? Wasn't he? What the hell? So the movie, it's got its flaws. It's not perfect, but it's a damn fun ride, and it's a pretty damn good sequel to one of the original slashers of its time. Friday 2 from 1981, I'll give it 4. Yes. I was going to give it 3.5. I'm bumping it right up to 4 because I think it's a pretty darn good sequel. Pretty solid. 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely check it out. Good job. All right. Pat myself on the back. Good job, Eric. Yeah. All right. All I did was get through the intro. I still have to do the rest of the whole fucking review. Fucking ingenious.